Hello, you lovely people, and welcome to this channel. Today we're going to be doing another fragrance news video. This is a weekly series on this channel called Smash or Pass. It's where we talk about the new fragrance releases and we discuss whether or not we want to get them and why. I have been playing around with my background because I actually recently just got this couch. And I put it together by myself. Not gonna lie, I'm really glad at putting these things together, so I'm really proud of myself that I was able to accomplish this by myself. But to give you an idea as to my skill set when it comes to putting things like this together, I have like this cart that I got from Amazon like last year, and I put it together without screws on like the top part, and I hired movers, and the movers were moving this like little cart, and like the top came off. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to put things together. So like, yeah, I think I put this couch together correctly. So if it's not correctly, I'll know at some point. But yeah, so I'm playing around with the background a little bit. I've been filming a few videos today with this kind of setup. I might switch things up. I don't know. Like I said, it's a new space. I'm working with it. We'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think of this space. But if you provide feedback, and the next few videos after this will still be showing the same setup, it's because I was pre-filming a lot today. So with that being said, if this is your first time watching this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love fragrances. I talk about them here 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. I also have additional content on TikTok and Instagram under the username Fragrances, Anishka Fragrances. It's on my, you can see it on the screen. And I also have a podcast called The Fragrance Report. The focus on that podcast is primarily fragrance history. So if you're like a history buff like me, if you love history, check it out because I don't think a lot of other people online have been talking about fragrance history. And I was like, you know what? Let's have this kind of conversation. Let's explore a bit about it. So that's why I created the podcast. And I also use it as a way for me to chit chat with you guys on a deeper level. So be sure to check it out. It's on Spotify and I publish a new episode every Wednesday. So yeah, with that being said, we have a lot to cover this week, so let's get started. First up, we have a new fragrance by Phlur. This is going to be called Golden Rule, and it's inspired by the golden era of femininity. This will have top notes of mandarin splash, pink pepper, and golden pear, a heart of orange flower water, jasmine blossom, and coconut milk, and then a base of benzoin, sandalwood, and vanilla cream. According to their Instagram, the fragrance itself is supposed to be a warm, bold, and sensual fragrance that is magnetic, embodying confidence and radiance. And it's supposed to embody your golden era or as a woman. But yeah, this sounds interesting. Like I said, I will definitely be keeping a lookout for it and smelling it. I have recently found myself being drawn to fragrances with coconut milk as a note. So this sounds like something I would be interested in sampling. The only thing that kind of makes me hesitate is the fact that Phlur's DNA, like their fragrance DNA, is not usually something I align with. Not all their fragrances have been wow for me, and that's just completely personal preference. Just because I don't like their fragrance DNA, the way they structure their perfumes, doesn't mean that their fragrances are in any way bad or I don't want to try their fragrances moving forward. But you know how different ways of interpreting notes work with different people? Well, I think in my case, I don't think I'm the target preference for what they're trying to go for, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'll be trying this out. I'm looking forward to seeing how it is. I think that some of these fragrance notes are really intriguing to me, especially orange. I do love orange flower as well. Sandalwood is a fragrance note that I really find myself drawn to, and coconut milk is also something that seems really interesting as well. So this is something that I would be keen on trying out. A while ago, we were teased with the new release of Hawas Fire by Rasasi, and now we have more information about this release. This is going to be a cologne for men, and we do have the notes available now. So this will have top notes of clary sage, a heart of Egyptian jasmine, and marine notes, and then a base of ambergris and mineral amber. Apparently, this is supposed to kind of be a version of, I think, Bleu de Chanel and Versace Eros Fire to my recollection. So that's kind of like what they're playing with. And I will say the bottle looks absolutely fire. The Hawas bottles in general, I have the Hawas Parfum bottle. It's nice and heavy. The cap is also nice and weighted. In terms of quality, their bottles are top notch. I haven't tried the other ones, but I can assume they're the same because they're supposed to be flankers of one another. But yeah, if they want to come out with a feminine version of this, I would be down. But this is looking a little bit too masculine for me, so this is going to be a pass for me personally. And also another thing, I don't know if I mentioned this, or I don't know if I mentioned this already in this video, I don't think I have. I am going to be doing a low buy, so I'm currently in the midst of being super mindful and very considerate about what fragrances I purchase and add to my collection. So, in these fragrance news videos, I want them to be as informative as possible, but just because I choose to not go out and buy a fragrance doesn't mean I don't like it or I wouldn't be open to trying it in general. It just means I'm being more considerate about what's coming into my collection at this very moment. So we have a masculine version of Devotion by Dolce & Gabbana coming out, and this is actually kind of interesting. So this has a top note of lemon, a mid of coffee, and then a base of patchouli. I would really be interested in smelling this one because the feminine version of Devotion, of course, I think really spotlights the vanilla note. And I've smelled it. I wasn't super into it. For me personally, it wasn't my favorite. But I can understand why people like it because it's one of those vanilla fragrances that's just easy. It's easy to wear, you can't really go wrong with it, but after a certain point, as a fragrance connoisseur, I want something a little bit different. I want something a little bit more fun. And for that reason, I've never really been drawn to Devotion. I've tried it a few times. I liked it. I didn't love it. So I would be curious to smelling this as well. I imagine that they're kind of trying to do a version of Devotion. I'm surprised they don't have vanilla available in the scent pyramid, but they might have it in there. It's just not listed. But I'm curious to smelling this and especially comparing it with the feminine version of this fragrance. I mean, they have lemon, and that was in the original fragrance as well. But yeah, I mean, I think my consensus with this fragrance was I already have a vanilla lemon fragrance or several vanilla lemon fragrances in my collection, and this is not giving me anything that I have never tried before, so that's why this was a pass. But I'm curious to smell the masculine version of it, but I'm kind of apprehensive about the idea of combining lemon with coffee. I don't know how that will turn out, but like I said, I'm interested in smelling this and trying it out for myself in store. So this is actually really interesting. I saw this bottle design and I was like, yeah, this is something that I would objectively want to have in my collection just because of the bottle design, because it looks absolutely beautiful. This is Rouge Bonheur by Guerlain. They're launching a special edition fragrance for Chinese New Year, and this is that fragrance. So this year's creation celebrates the year of the snake, and they're only going to have 2,100 individually numbered pieces available, making this a collector's item. And this is a version of their iconic bee bottle that has been reimagined into a vibrant scarlet, and they have added a snake. I love this. Like, I love this so much. This looks amazing. Like, and if I had money to burn, and if I wasn't on a low buy, if I just had money to burn on like whatever fragrances I want, this would objectively probably be like on my to buy list immediately because this is beautiful. I love it. I mean, I probably haven't mentioned this that much, but I love snakes in imagery. Like when I was younger, I had like a snake ring. Like that was like costume jewelry, obviously, but it was like a snake ring that I loved. I love the Bulgari snake serpentine collection. Um, it's my dream to have like more, jeweled snake pieces at some point. But I love this. Let's get into the notes because I haven't even gotten into the notes yet. We have pepper, ginger, and the top, a mid of rose and magnolia, and then a base of white musk and cedar. I mean, I I'm gonna show probably a close up of the fragrance, like the design on the fragrance, because they have clearly thought it out so well. Okay, so it's available exclusively in their boutiques and online. It's going to be priced at $880, and it comes with the bottle paired with a refillable travel spray. I love it. It looks so beautiful, but it's so expensive. And like this is not obviously this is not for me. Like this is not something that would be anywhere near to something I would even conceptualize getting, but I look at it and I'm like, this is beautiful. So this is interesting if you love L'État Libre d'Orange, which is a brand that I've seen for years, but I've actually never tried their fragrances, or if I have, I can't remember. But this is going to be called Uric Chronicles. I definitely have tried this brand, but I have not tried them that much to come up with an opinion on them. But this has top notes of strawberry, abelia, and tangerine, amid of a chord of saffron, iris, and pomerose, and then a base of cypriol, cedarwood, and tonka. So pomerose is supposed to be like an appley floral. That's what I've heard about it. Abelia, I don't know what abelia is. Fragrance, no, let's look it up together and learn together about this note. So yeah, apparently it's a pink flower. Yeah, I don't know what this smells like, but apparently the flowers themselves are really fragrant. So okay, but yeah, this is something I don't know why, but looking at the bottle design, for some reason I was not expecting this to have strawberry in it. I'm gonna try this. Like I'm sure this will be available at Ariel Shoshana, and Ariel Shoshana is a fragrance boutique that's actually pretty close to where I live. So I'm definitely gonna try and get my nose on this and see how it goes. But yeah, this might be interesting. I mean, again, we haven't seen that much of strawberry unless it's in like a Burberry Her fragrance or with a Kayali new release Young Bougie Marshmallow. Strawberry is not super common, so I'm excited to potentially see some more strawberry notes pop up. Okay, so we have a new release by Valentino. They're coming out with Born in Roma Extra Dose perfumes. These are supposed to be 2 intense fragrances by the brand. So let's go into the notes for the masculine Born in Roma Extra Dose Uomo first. This opens with a bold blend of spices with vetiver and wild lavender at the heart and a base of a smoky woody accord. Then the feminine version will open with a burst of juicy black currant with a heart of a rum accord and then a base that's vanilla and like a creamy vanilla. That sounds delicious. I love blackcurrant, not gonna lie. I've been watching Greta Beth a lot, and I think she has influenced me to really appreciate the blackcurrant note in perfume. So I would be interested in trying this out and seeing how it goes. The men's fragrance, I mean, like, it sounds interesting, but at this point, like, I'm kind of done with lavender. Like, the masculine lavender. I feel like there are only so many ways you can work with that note to make it seem interesting, and it's not like super intriguing to me. But yeah, I'm intrigued in the feminine version, and also the bottle is hot pink, so I like that. I like that a lot. Speaking of colors, I look like the Christmas elf with this because I have the green couch, this kind of whole getup, so I look like I'm here for Christmas, but I'm just very late. So anyway, I will say I remember when I was working in retail, there was a vendor that came in and she smelled absolutely beautiful, and I was like, "What are you wearing?" She's like, "I'm wearing Valentino." Like I think it was like Born in Roma, but I think it was the original one. The sillage was gorgeous on her, and it's one of those situations where I'm like, I have smelled the fragrance objectively many times, and I've always been like, oh yeah, it's nice, but like I've never really thought of it as an appropriate fragrance for me to wear according to my preferences. But on other people, the sillage on that thing is amazing. So naturally, I'm curious about trying the new one as well. Okay, so we have a new fragrance by a brand that I haven't spoken about on this channel before. So this is called Jorum Studio. They are launching a new fragrance called Unspoken Gesture. So it's interesting because looking at the scent pyramid, they've structured it differently. So they have 2 areas. They have impression and then they have fade. So I'm assuming the impression is supposed to be like what you first get, and then fade is supposed to be the dry down. So that's interesting. I've never seen that with fragrance briefs before. But the impression is cardamom, hazelnut, fig, almond, kananga, violet leaf, and mimosa absolute. And then the fade is hay, malt, rice, sandalwood, cedarwood, musk, and ambret seed. I did a podcast episode a few weeks ago talking about fragrance trends for 2024 or 2025. And one of the trends that I definitely have been seeing, and especially like when I saw at Scent Explorer, which was just last December, but one of the really prominent trends right now is going to be Asian inspired fragrance notes. So like things like rice will definitely be coming up more and more in 2025, and we're seeing that here. And I haven't seen a lot of people use hay in fragrances. In fact, I think the only fragrance that has hay in it that I remember trying off the top of my head was from Zoologist, and I actually really did like the hay in there. It was kind of like a soft, kind of aromatic grassiness that I appreciated. This sounds really interesting. Yeah. It's supposed to, basically, this fragrance is supposed to feel like a comforting embrace, breathing, holding, existing as one, heartbeats, a waltz, retardando, a chorus of haptic tingles, inhale, exhale, taking you with me. Aw, that's romantic. Okay, so basically, I feel like so according to this article that I'm reading off of Fragrantica, this is kind of like a way to unwind post December, or like that's what the author of the article is interpreting this fragrance as. And I honestly can see that because, like, with the holidays, with all the stress of that, sometimes you just need a fragrance that will just unwind, just help you relax. And I have like a fragrance video. I don't know if I'm going to be publishing it this week or next week, coming up talking about fragrances that make you feel like you're at a spa. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you because those are some really beautiful fragrances. And again, sometimes you just need a fragrance to relax. And I feel like that sounds beautiful. And I don't know too much about this brand, so I don't know how their sample system works or like if they have discovery sets. I don't know too much about them, but this seems like an interesting one, and I just wanted to share this with you. Okay, so we have another release by Paco Rabanne. This is called Phantom, and this is going to be Phantom Elixir. This is a flanker to the original Phantom, and this has notes of marine accord at the top, a heart of mineral oud, and then a base of vanilla bean. Again, this is, I think, one of those designer fragrances that is inspired a little bit by what we've been seeing in the niche world when it comes to fragrances, and they're pulling niche fragrance notes into the mainstream, which is really interesting, and I'm all here for it. Paco Rabanne is a mainstream designer brand, and they're introducing oud, which is typically only really seen in Middle Eastern fragrances or niche fragrances, into their selection. I think that's amazing, and I think that's really, really good. I'll be trying this out. I'm not always a fan of Paco Rabanne, you know, but I'll be trying this out. I look forward to doing so. It's really interesting. It's kind of like the feminine, like how feminine fragrances right now, they're starting to come out with more lychee inspired fragrances. So it's interesting to see that with a designer brand that's masculine as well. So next up we have a new fragrance from Paris Corner. This is going to be called Kyre Felicity. This fragrance is going to be a perfume with champagne, cassis, and freesia at the top, a heart of May Rose and Jasmine with some musk, and then a base of vanilla, sugary notes, and musk. I mean, this is clearly going to be an alternative um, for Kayali's Wedding Silk Santal fragrance. Um, and I think that it would be kind of interesting to talk a little bit further about dupes because I feel like my opinions on dupes have slightly evolved and they've changed. I still do not necessarily think dupes are a bad thing, but I do sometimes find myself, or I often, especially with this line, find myself questioning whether it's a great look to essentially make your line known for duping a particular fragrance brand. Because I feel like Kyre by Paris Corner, this line is known for duping the Kayali fragrances. And granted, I have tried a good amount of them, and there are a few, like, I don't think that they're carbon copies of the Kayali fragrances. And in many ways, like, I've been pretty transparent with the fact that not every single Kayali fragrance has been something I loved, right? I can tell, like, the Kayali sweet candy one. I forget the name, but like it was like a candy fragrance. It had bubblegum in it. It was supposed to be like this like really bright and fun gourmand. I smelled that and I couldn't get past the bubblegum because to me it smelled like kind of it smelled like being at the dentist office when they give you like the laughing gas. Like, and I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't like that fragrance. I couldn't get past that. Then I tried the Paris Corner version of that fragrance, and I was like, wait, I actually really like this because they did it a different way. Um, but when they're kind of known for basically duping one other brand and like this, like, if I'm wrong and they've and this line has duped other brands, please let me know. But to my knowledge, they've really only been duping the Kayali ones, and I just feel a little bit weird about that. I obviously probably will be trying a decant just for the experience. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously we look at Kayali and Kayali as a brand, they're so wildly successful and they really can do no wrong when it comes to their releases. They have a really great handle on their marketing and knowing what their customer really likes. And I've said that and I'll continue to say it. And I think a lot of people disagree with me because they're like, oh yeah, their fragrances smell juvenile. Well, there's a difference between um, not liking a fragrance because of their DNA and saying that a fragrance brand is doing bad marketing. Because, for example, Phlur, I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not like a super fan of how they do their fragrances. I'm not like a fan of how they do their fragrance DNA because it's just not my preference, right? Just because a Kayali fragrance or just because the Kayali fragrances in general are not what you like in terms of a fragrance doesn't mean that their marketing is not successful because it is successful. They've had tremendous growth. Just if you look at the numbers, like if you do your research and look at the numbers, they have grown substantially. So I can't imagine they're hurting because of this, but it is kind of food for thought. Like, at what point does duping fragrances get a little bit old? I mean, it's not like they're duping like the bottle design and the whole concept. I mean, there are fragrance brands that probably, fragrance dupe brands that do that, but they're not doing it in this case. So I don't know. If you want me to talk about dupes more, I would love to do more content on them. I think it's a touchy subject because I've heard so many different perspectives on it. Like, I was at Scent Explorer just recently, and actually, a lot of people were talking about dupes. People had some really intense opinions about them. Did I agree with everything? Absolutely not. I haven't really had a chance to talk about dupes that much, especially um, since that event, but I would love to talk about it some more. So let me know if you want to hear about it. I don't know, maybe I'll just do it in a podcast episode or something. I have no idea. But yeah, let me know, where do you think we should draw the line when it comes to dupes? I'm curious to hear your perspective. But yeah, let me know. Are you gonna get this? I want to try it just because I try like every Middle Eastern fragrance I can. I'm a little bit behind on trying Middle Eastern fragrances because of my move, but I will be getting some more decants and doing my kind of decant review videos for you again. That will be coming up. I've not stopped doing them. I've just taken a brief pause because I've just been swamped with other things, but yeah. All right, so those are all the fragrances I wanted to talk about today. Let me know, is there anything that stood out to you? Are there any fragrances that you're super excited about? Is there anything that you're not excited about? Let me know your opinions. Let's have a discussion about this in the comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching until the end. I do appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time. Bye.